Hey friends, and welcome to MomTalk Maryland. I'm your host, Claire Duarte, founder of the Columbia Mom, and this is your spot for real conversations, local love, and a whole lot of community. Whether you're folding laundry, running errands, or hiding in your car for some peace and quiet, let's dive in. Let's do it.
All right.
I lost track of how many episodes we are in now, but today we have with us my first intern.
Hello.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Emma. I'm an intern here at the Columbia Mom, and I'm so happy to be here. And I've never done a podcast, so I'm a little bit nervous.
First of all, we are so excited to have you. Funny story. Well, you might not find it funny. I mean, it's just kind of a small world, right? I actually know your mom from being in the Business Women's Network, which is one of the networks that I joined, one of the networking groups that I joined when I first started my business. I didn't meet her like that day, but I met her from doing different events. We're both, I run a marketing cohort that she and I are both in, and she approached me back in like December. She was like, hey, do you take summer interns? And, I was like, yeah. That's another episode of like, not that I have this like whole formal program, but I did have a quote unquote intern. She wasn't a college student. She was, in her 30s, someone that I know from when I was in college. And I knew after having that summer support last year, I was like, I definitely know that I'm going to want it again this year. So anyways, when your mom approached me, I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we had coffee, and little backstory, Emma, you just finished your freshman year.
Yeah, I go to Salisbury University, so I just finished my freshman year. So exciting.
Yeah, and you play soccer?
Yes, I play soccer at Salisbury, and I played soccer since I was like 3 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I never asked you, do other members of your family play soccer?
My dad used to when he was younger, but my family is very like baseball and hockey, so. Okay. And my mom is really unathletic. She doesn't have these sports.
That's okay. I mean, everybody can't be everything.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I asked that because, I think soccer has always been a huge suburban sport, if you may. I feel like now it's kind of shifted into lacrosse, but growing up for me too was soccer. My dad actually, so this is a complete tangent, my dad lived in England he's not from England, but lived in England for like 20 years of his life, and football is like their life. Exactly. Fan. So my dad is a massive soccer fan. Yeah. He's actually a Spurs fan. So if you know, you know. And he was a goalie. He played up until he honestly only stopped playing probably like 5-ish years ago.
Wow.
So well into just about to when he was like about 60.
Wow.
Or so.
I hope that's me.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I know. And my mom was probably ready for him to stop around then. But you play year round. Yeah. Indoor, outdoor, that's all crazy. 4 seasons. Yeah, he was a crazy man. But it kept him really fit. So naturally, and I'm one of 5. All of us played soccer, or made all of us, and then eventually, I always my youngest sister. When my parents saw that she would be on the soccer field picking flowers, we're like, okay, maybe this isn't your sport, you know what I mean? And transition her to dance and other things.
Not for everyone.
Not for everyone, right? But anyway, so you just finished your freshman year at Salisbury. So Emma actually started with us back in January. We just started, and my thought process was perfect. I was like, this is great to have a little extra support and other hands on deck. And I went back. And after I first met you, since you're kind of brand new to the field, and you had just declared your major, right?
Yeah, I just declared communications as my major with the minor in marketing.
That's
so
right.
This is perfect.
Yeah, which was so literally when we had met, you had just declared it.
Yeah.
And so you're obviously brand new, kind of into I shouldn't be into the field, but into your studies and things like that. So. And obviously, what's crazy about marketing, and degrees in general, is that so much has changed. Obviously since I was in school, but literally I feel every 2 years, things are changing so quickly in this field in general. So I feel on the academia level, it's gotta be I think from that lens, so interesting because my degree is not in any of this. Yeah. So I find that interesting. But anyways, I'm excited for you to get kind of hopefully more up to date information. Trends and things like that. So Emma was brought on to. obviously help us and with everything that we do. And at first I was like, oh, I'll just have you kind of help me do things. And then I was like, wait. So actually, I sat down with my team member, Allie, and we developed kind of an intern training program, which we had you kind of go through the spring. So that way, when the summer did roll around, we're like, okay, that way you have a better chance of kind of jumping in, which you have been able to do.
Yeah, it's been so much easier now that I had all that training back in like January, February. Like, I feel like I know so much more now, and it's just like been really easy to like acclimate to all of this.
Yeah, thank God. Right.
Yes.
So now Emma's here basically like full time with us for the summer, so when I told her she was gonna be on the podcast, I didn't prep her at all, and I didn't let her pre-screen the questions. Don't worry, they're not too bad, so you don't need to be terrified. But essentially, I had to get the Gen Z view of this. So here's a few kind of like questions to kind of warm you up. So it's kind of like a this or that sort of. Most of them are. So my first question is TikTok or Instagram?
Definitely TikTok.
Ooh, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, of course, like, I'd probably still say that too, but, I get that. Feed post or story? And I guess that's more specific to Instagram, I guess.
I would say stories, because they're not there forever, and, like, I don't know, like, some things I just want to, like, post for a little bit and not for, like, ever.
Ooh, okay, that's a good lens.
Yeah.
That's a really good lens, okay. This, Be Real, is it still a thing or totally dead?
Definitely not a thing.
Ooh!
It's definitely not. I think I was on Be Real for, like, a few months, like, a year and a half ago, like for a little bit, and I liked it, but it just became a lot, and I didn't feel like doing it every day.
That's what I felt. It's funny, I feel like some of my younger siblings who were like 5 and 6 years younger than me, and I think they still do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that, like, because they're kind of that, they say, we're millennials. Okay, you might be a millennial, like, by the book,
yeah,
but you're, like, literally, like, a year and a half, like, kind of, like, right on that Gen Z fence. So, anyways, I think for that reason, I think they still kind of like it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of got sick of the notifications.
Me too.
Keeping up with it.
Me too. And I don't know, none of my friends are on it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of dead.
Right. Okay. That's again good to know, because I'm glad I'm not missing anything. Because I was like, I don't need one more thing to do.
No, definitely not.
Wow. Okay. I know my answer to this, so I'm definitely curious to get yours. The phrasing of it is not. Keep in mind, I didn't phrase these. This is all chat. Cool or cringe? Facebook.
Cringe. I do not like Facebook personally.
Okay, as someone who also has created a social media business, I would agree. I have a love and hate relationship with Facebook, mainly because Meta.
Yeah.
That's not the main reason. Now that I'm running a business, Meta drives me nuts, as you know, because we've had to log you in there and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, Facebook's a lot.
Yeah, and like my mom, she uses Facebook, like she loves Facebook, but she just like posts so many pictures, and first of all, she'll post like the worst pictures of me, and then I'll like find out by like one of my friends being like, "Is this you?" I'm like, "Okay, great.
Okay,
that's
great.
Fantastic."
Yeah.
But I think it's just more of a like, not like older necessarily, but I just don't think people my age are necessarily using Facebook.
Right. No, I mean, I certainly don't I don't use it for like my personal use.
Yeah.
I do have my posts go to Facebook, which I believe it goes to like my like page that I've created for the business.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I haven't been pushing a lot of my, business activities into growing Facebook at the moment, considering that Instagram's our biggest platform. Obviously, it's an important platform because it's still linked with Instagram, et cetera, but anyways, long story short, I agree. It's mentally a lot for me. Okay, filters. Again, chat forms these questions. Wait, hold on. But it says vibey aesthetic or try hard.
Like, which one would I do?
I think just meaning like the use of filters. People that use filters, or if you see them, notice them.
Okay. I don't think filters are necessarily bad. Like, I like a kind of more natural kind of filter. Like, I'll use some kind of filters on my posts usually, but like some of the like over the top ones are just a lot, and like it just seems kind of like what are you doing?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you ever part of well, obviously I'm sure you were on social media, but it was a couple of years ago. I want to say it was, probably the pandemic time, I think, when like filters were always a thing, but it was like a lot more of like the glittery ones. And like, did you ever use a bunch of those?
Personally, no. Like, I was always like a natural. Like, I don't even use filters a lot. Like,
no, same.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Like around that 2020 era, when a lot more of them came on the scene, I feel like, and I know. Like a bunch of us moms were really guilty of like playing around with like the glittery ones. So so apologize.
Like Snapchat filters, like some of the funny ones.
Those are pretty funny.
Those are funny. Like I will do like some like those to my friends to like, joke around. Like But like when I'm posting on Instagram, like it's like
it's different. Like it's. I think it's fun to be still like again. I don't have Snapchat anymore. That should be one of the things on here. Actually, let me go off book. Snapchat. Yeah.
I love Snapchat. I use Snapchat. It's just like I don't snap a lot of people, but like my close friends, my boyfriend, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I like Snapchat.
Okay. All right, awesome. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this stuff. All right. So what's your honest first impression of my Instagram account?
Your Instagram account. I mean, it's not necessarily geared towards people my age.
Yes.
but like when I saw it, I was like, this is something like my mom would like this is something like that's helpful for like people like your age, a little like 20s, like stuff like that. And I thought it was very helpful. Like I like those kind of pages that kind of like guide you to like the events that are happening and like stuff like that. So like honestly, I've gotten some event ideas from your page. Like so I always thought it was like helpful. It's just not necessarily geared towards people my age.
Yeah.
But like for like people your age or a little bit younger, like I can definitely see like why they would be coming to you.
Yeah, awesome. Some of these questions are good. What's one thing millennials do on social that instantly gives you secondhand embarrassment?
Oh gosh. Oh my god, I need to think. I feel like sometimes the captions that they put on their posts, like when we use like so many emojis or like it's like so like over the top. I'm just
that I've definitely used. I've actually recently switched one of the formats or styles of the captions that I use. Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. But like
a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just like I'm like, oh, okay.
So funny. Well, and again, like. I don't care because not all of these are geared like literally about like me kind of thing, but yeah, no, I hear you. Any other millennial cringy things?
Think like I don't know. Come back to me on that.
Yeah.
I need to think.
Right. Ooh, okay. This is interesting, but. It's also, you haven't been following me for like that long necessarily, and I also don't expect you to follow and see all of my content. That's not in your job description. What's the cringiest reel or story I've ever posted? First of all, I don't care. I really don't care.
I feel like I would need to like look. Like I don't know like on the top of my head. Like
just open the page, just like scroll and just pick. No. We can come back to that one.
Yeah.
I know I have plenty that I would self-submit for that. So, ooh, okay, this is interesting. If you ran my account for a week, what would you change or do differently?
What would I change? I feel like maybe. My gosh, these are hard.
They are hard.
What would I change? Like, maybe I would do like not as much, like, because like I feel like with like your company, like you focus a lot on like Instagram, Facebook, like so many platforms. Like maybe I would like for a week like just focus like posting so much on Instagram only, like
on just one platform,
and seeing like how that does for the company. Like I don't know, like
that's interesting. I mean, obviously the majority of what we do is Instagram focused.
Yeah.
But I see where you're coming from of like and not to get off completely off tangent, but like but this kind of helps take you and the rest of us like kind of behind the curtain a little bit. One of my goals this year when I sat down with my business consultant was like when I was looking at my 2025 goals, I listed all this stuff out to him, and we went through all these pieces together, right? And what he basically came up with were like the two pillars of my 2025 roadmap were sales and content meaning like Instagram essentially, like those are, and sales like you, in order to survive in any business, you have to and need to have sales. And there's so much more that goes into that. But with Instagram, it's kind of like maintaining good and high level content, whether that's our partnerships, whether that's our evergreen content and things like that. So it's interesting that you say that, and obviously it's great to kind of like keep hearing things like that, kind of remind us, because it's kind of like that's the roots of who we are, how we got started. We started with Instagram content before anything else. So, and it's kind of like one of those things of like, as we create and do other things like the blogs and the podcasts and all these other things, like making sure it's never taking us away from that. And I mean, that's the interesting thing about social media and marketing, is that platforms are always changing and always evolving. So if we, for some reason, like, I don't know, my Instagram could shut down tomorrow. We saw it happen with TikTok, even though it's back, ? It's so confusing.
For now.
I know, it's very odd. And part of the reason why I haven't put my efforts into that platform. I know you can grow really quickly over there again, but going back to your point of like, I'm just trying to focus on these platforms. These platforms are already more than enough work for me. Let alone another, because I also feel like the way that I do my posts on Instagram is not what I would post on TikTok. Not that I wouldn't grow over there. I just think you need to post differently.
It's also geared towards like a different kind of community that I feel like you're gonna see like on Instagram or Facebook, like stuff like that. Right,
exactly. So I just don't have the bandwidth to create a third different type of video. You know what I mean? So for a platform that could get shut down again. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously validity to the people that have grown their platforms, because then you can still like, even if the platform shuts down, and you can still say I grew it to this size, and that's credible. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm not spending my energy on that right now. Okay, this is interesting. What trends do you think are so Gen Z, and what ones feel millennial trying too hard?
I feel like the day in my life stuff like that is like Gen Z. Like a lot of like my friends do those, or like outfit of the day. Like, I feel like that's like Gen Z. But like I feel like, well, first of all, Instagram Reels are kind of given like millennial. Like,
they are.
Like, no, like not hating on Instagram Reels, like, but like that's kind of like more millennial. Like the trends on there, and also like the trends on there, you tend to see like, are a little bit behind.
Yes, like, they are. They are. I mean, and again, pros and cons, right? Like a lot of big trends are often on TikTok, and a lot of those, will come over to Instagram. It's like, it's not that certain trends don't translate. It's just, I don't know how to give the best example. It's just like some things can and will do just better on TikTok because of the audience over there, and vice versa. So, no, I hear you. Okay, what? Oh, I guess on the same breath, do you think Reels are cool? Sorry. Or are they, or are they just our generation's sad attempt to stay relevant on TikTok?
I'm gonna have to lean more towards that.
I was like, wow, that really just answered it for us.
Like, nothing against it, again. Right. It's just like, for like my generation, like, it's, we don't necessarily say like, oh, that's cool, but like, but again, like, my parents, like, they don't have TikTok, like, they're on Instagram Reels. Like, so I feel like, again, it's just like who you're trying to like target. Right. Like, you're not trying to target like me and like, like my age group necessarily. Exactly. So like, for me personally, like, I'm not on Instagram Reels, like, I'm on TikTok, but like, again, just who you're trying to reach.
Well, and that tells you how much you've learned about marketing so far, because then, again, that also, when I quickly realized, I mean, look, if you go on TikTok, you will find a Colombian mom account. Is she active? No. Thank God you can't see my search history, because that is active. That is very active, unfortunately. But no, I quickly realized, I was like, okay, like, and I was making some content over there. Again, it looked very different than I think with TikTok it's a little less curated, whereas, not that I would say the stuff on Instagram is curated and fake, it's just because I fully believe that it's not, but every content creator is a little bit different with that, but it's just created a little bit differently, where the TikTok I think just feels a little bit more raw, real. Obviously they're still edited. They're both edited, you know what I mean? It's just different.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? No, that's the thing I quickly realized was that when I was creating TikTok content, I quickly realized I was okay, the people that are seeing this are not the businesses that I'm necessarily trying to reach. And obviously for people that, you know, watch our content, like, know that, like, as a business, I'm community facing, but back end, business to business. So that kind of makes my marketing strategy a little bit more complicated, because the content that I'm creating specifically on like Instagram and or TikTok when it was for the community. So I'm not creating those pieces of content for businesses to see necessarily, but I quickly realized, like, okay, it does go back to who your target audience is.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, my target audience isn't necessary, even though there are a lot of millennials on TikTok, like the business owners that I'm also trying to potentially like showcase and or get their attention if they see my content performing well, aren't on TikTok. So that's why I also made that decision. I was like, amidst all the other, like, you know, this is years ago, rumor mill about TikTok, which ended up being true, right? Yeah. That fueled all my reasons behind that. And I was like, I'm just going to focus on who my target audience is. And again, that goes into why I joined the BWN, the chamber, because I was like, okay, I need to go where the businesses are. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Sorry, tangent. Where was I? Okay. That was a funny question. I feel like a lot of these questions are sort of rephrased in the same way, but okay. What kind of influencer content? Okay, actually, no, this is good. What kind of influencer content do you love versus what can you absolutely not stand?
I like the content that's like real, like when I can tell someone is like not being like fake or like trying too hard and just being like their real self, and like, you know, maybe like just being honest with like really what's going on in their life. Like that's the stuff that I like. When someone's like, when I can tell that someone is like trying too hard or like purposely like set the camera up and like like was like, oh, I just woke up, and they're like full face of makeup, and I'm like, no, you did not just wake up. Like, don't like lie like that. Like, that's the stuff that I don't like. I like to see like things that are real. You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what's funny? And you have suggested, and you still do, and I struggle with actually creating day in the life content. Probably also because my life is so busy. I do eventually want to do one, but and God bless all of you that do them, because I will start the morning and I'll start to do it, and then after like 9-10 o'clock I just forget.
No,
I'm so
I've done that.
Busy, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. Because the reality is like you have to, because it's like, and for some of those people, I'm like, I know you have a tripod set up somewhere while you're folding your laundry. Like, this isn't natural and organic. So the day in the life is just like actual chaos for me, and like you almost don't want to see all of that, and it's hard to film it.
That's what people want to see. Like, I would want to see like the real stuff, like even if it's like a busy, chaotic day, just like that, as
opposed to, I mean, I do agree. I do love the behind the scenes look where like clearly it is a tripod setup, because you can kind of see the person like running around their kitchen or whatever. But like my tripod's up here, and I'm just trying to like finish something downstairs. You know what I mean? Like, so mentally, I'm like, I never think steps ahead like that. But like literally, I think in order for me to do a day in the life, I'm going to have to like block it off my calendar, not schedule a lot of stuff so that I can remember to do. I mean, my phone is always on me. That's not the issue. It's just remembering to like
gotta like set reminders in your phone
literally
every hour.
Oh my gosh, because the girls will do it like getting in and out of their car. I'm like, oh my God, like how are you doing this? Like, I struggle with that. But I agree, I still like them, but reality is like, I mean, I don't think they're easy to create.
No, definitely not easy, but like, I feel like maybe you start with picking a day where like you don't have that much going on just to like get in the hang of it.
I know, make them look like, just woke up, I have one call, like look at me working with the 3 things on my list. Like that's how it's gonna end up being done. Yeah. It'll be real but like fake at the same time. It'll be curated in the sense that I planned it out ahead of time so that way I wasn't overwhelmed as crap. Like that's what it would be.
Yeah.
Okay, this is relevant. Do you think being an influencer is still a dream job for Gen Z, or is it overhyped?
I feel like in the middle. Like, it's like I feel like it would be a good job because it's you get to create your own hours kind of thing. Like a lot of people like want jobs like that, but it's also like there's so many influencers now. I feel like that it's like getting overhyped in that kind of way. Is like it's so hard to like blow up. Like it's so hard to like become that top influencer because there's so many. Right. So it's like, is it really like a realistic kind of job? I don't know. I feel like it'd be a fun job, a good job to have. Right. But I don't know. Yeah,
I mean that is kind of when you paint it that way. If you think about it, like for someone who is starting like right now, anybody. I mean, I truly believe anybody can do this. Anybody can grow. The reality is, you know. Because there is an audience for everybody, right? As we know, because there's like people that like just want to like sit there and build Legos. Like you know, there's an audience for everybody. You know, you can, and we all know accounts that like were definitely didn't exist 2 or 3 years ago that still have made it into the millions. You know what I mean? So it's just like there is an audience for everybody, but at the same time, it's like, but it is all about being. I think if you're very specific in what you are doing, that's what helps you set yourself apart and be different. You know, if you're just another like makeup artist, like okay, cool. There's literally thousands. So it's like, what's gonna make you different, and how are you gonna? If your goal is to rise to like Michaela levels, like how are you going to stand out? And
I feel like that's the hard part is like setting yourself apart, and like not many people can do that. I feel like that's a hard thing.
You have to. I mean. It can be done. It's just all about like, you know, it kind of just go back to like being yourself, being really creative. You'd have to be creating completely different style reels. And so I agree. Yeah. What's a business or brand on social that nails it for Gen Z and why?
Honestly, like Duolingo on TikTok is so funny.
Oh my god, yes!
I see them in like the comment sections and like I just know it's like a 19 or 20-year-old like behind the scenes like commenting. Yes. And really funny comments. So like that's like a brand that like knows what they're doing and like they know how to reach their audience.
My god, and it's hysterical, right? I think. And that's actually, I should say, like a trend that we're seeing more of. Like, remember, like last week, like you and I were looking at like on Threads, for instance. I think Threads is actually picking up more steam recently. Yeah. But like Wendy's and Chili's, like Wendy's specifically, cracks me up, like hysterical, like in stitches. And you know, I think these businesses are realizing like the value of hiring Gen Z, whether you're in college or those new grads, to be their social media managers. And look what it's doing. Because the reality is their quote unquote target population is getting younger as the execs are getting older, right? And so they realize in order to stay relevant, this is what you need to do. Yeah. Yeah. And like definitely it's making people laugh. Like I feel like that's a good thing. Like if you can make people like laugh, then you're gonna be successful because like that's all people want to do is like find something funny and like it's happy. Like, you know. I know. Well, and okay, here's actually a side question from that. And what content do you think hits with you? Which I don't know if memorable is the right word, or like I guess like hits you harder. Essentially, either content that's funny or content that's emotional, kind of like that hits you like in your soul a little bit. Like which, you know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like I'm leaning towards more like the funny stuff because like sometimes like after a long day and I'm like scrolling on TikTok, I don't really want to see like the overly emotional stuff that's gonna like make me like sad or like like have those kind of feelings because sometimes I'm just like I want to like scroll on TikTok and like find like stupid like funny
shit
right.
that's like happening.
Right.
You know, like I don't know.
I agree, and I think for me, like I love that too. I mean, I think we all go through phases, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we're just like, you know, going through tough times in life or just whatever, different stresses, and sometimes when we're scrolling, we may be searching for something like that, or subtly or subconsciously. But I feel like, yeah, definitely for me too. I feel like I need to laugh because so much of life is already hard and stressful that, like, you know, I mean, anything about my kids will make me, you know, of course, like cry on a dot. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, yes, I know that they're only going to be like this young for this minute, but please, I'm not ready for like a cry session. Like, let's just keep like, you know, pretending like that doesn't exist, so I can just keep laughing, you know. So, which is, you know, it's funny because, like, again, going back to being a creator, like, I'm trying to find this weird line of like, I like to be funny and I like to be silly and trying to keep bringing my personality into the brand a little bit, because I am the brand, I am the personality, question mark, while still like creating meaningful, helpful content and things like that. So it's a funny line to walk because I'm like, well, I'm not strictly like a comedy creator, like definitely not, okay, absolutely not, but of just like and I'm not trying to brand myself as that, because there's obviously, like, for instance, like plenty of like motherhood creators that, you know, create mostly like funny, sarcastic content that I love, that I go to their page for that reason, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to brand myself like that, but every now and then, if it's relatable with what I'm doing and talking about, I try to do it in a lens that is maybe a little funny or attempting. I make attempts. Attempts are made. If a business feels too millennial, is that a red flag for Gen Z?
Like a little bit, yeah. Like, it's just like if it feels like it's not anywhere geared toward like Gen Z, and it's like very focused on like, again, things that like millennials would like, but I kind of just like don't really bother with it. Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example.
I know, I feel like that's a hard question, but I know what they're asking. And I guess it's probably asking like what their brand looks like on social media as opposed to like their storefront or something. You know, because like if you're searching for them or looking at them and you feel like they're not, or at least the way that I perceive it, obviously I am a millennial, but like if I, again, was a Gen Z, and because I feel this way too, because if it's more of like the older generation, like a Gen X or Boomer, and you're not posting content the way that I would like to see it, I do feel a little turned off. So I think it's that same concept. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it is harder to find examples specifically, but I know what you're feeling. Yeah. This is a hard one. What's one millennial trend you'd bring back or admit to secretly liking?
Oh no.
That is a hard one.
Well, because I feel like sometimes like millennials will take trends from, like, not like from Gen Z, but like they kind of like share it. So like, I don't know if there's like specific like millennial trends that I could think of.
I know that, right? I agree. That's like that is so hard and specific. I mean, the only way that I could think about it is like when millennials are maybe trying to do like some of like the Gen Z dancing one kind of thing. Maybe in that lens, if they're not like a good dancer, you know what I mean? There are plenty of millennials that are fantastic dancers that are gonna kill it. You know what I mean? And then that you're like, oh shit, you know, do it, queen. You know what I mean? But that was a hard one. Okay, this is good. Do you ever feel like Gen Z has social media burnout?
Yeah, I mean, for myself, like, sometimes I'll like be scrolling and I'm just like, I need to like take a break, or like I've like deleted Instagram for a little bit just to like, because I know like if it's there I'm gonna use it, but like sometimes I just like don't want to be like looking at everyone else's like perfect lives, or like they're in the Bahamas and I'm like stuck in Maryland. Like, I don't want to have to like look at that all day. So like I've deleted Instagram and like give myself like a week or two, because like I can't.
That makes sense.
And then you know I'll bring it back.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I can imagine, because like you kind of like grew up on it, like your lives have been surrounded by it.
Like I've had that since I was like 10 and I'm like 19. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, sometimes I feel like on social media, like, you find yourself, like, comparing, like, your life to others, and, like, that just gets, like, exhausting at a point. Right. And, like, I can't do
and
that sometimes.
I mean, okay, this is my assumption. I mean, I feel like the comparison game feels 1,000 times worse on Instagram than TikTok.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
Because, like, people are posting, like, because people post, like, what they want everyone else to see. So, like, they're posting, like, when they're at the beach or when they're, like, doing something super fun, and it's like, why am I not doing that? Like,
right, like, I know.
Like, what is it, like, what is my life? Like,
right, yeah.
You know?
I know, yeah, it's fun. I think it's in a way, again, just because the way that people create content on TikTok is just a little bit different. It feels a little bit more like off.
Like light.
Yeah, like, yeah, obviously funnier, quicker, a little bit more just like, a little bit less edited, but also in ways more edited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like less filters, I feel like.
Yeah.
But a lot more like talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is a level of like, I feel like there's a little bit more authenticity to TikTok. But I definitely feel the Instagram comparison heavier there for sure. What's the biggest difference between how you and your friends use Instagram versus how you see me or other millennials use it?
I feel like, well, again, with the Instagram Reels, like, we don't really use Instagram Reels. But also kind of just like, like, when I don't post a lot, like, me and my friends, like, we don't post a lot. Like, usually, like, I'll only post when a special occasion comes up, or, like, I took, like, a really good picture, like, something like that. Like, when I look at you, like, obviously, you're a business, though, so, like, you post a lot. But, like, even, like, my mom and, like, her friends, like, they post, like, a lot, but it's kind of, like, just, like, walking my dog in the park, like, whenever they want kind of thing, and I feel like...
Sure do.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I feel like Gen Z kind of takes Instagram maybe more seriously in a way that, like, we only post on, like, when something, like, cool happens, like, a big occasion, like, I'm, like, at the beach, and I take, like, really good pictures of the beach, like, then I'll post, but then I probably won't post for, like, 3 more months.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, I think that also makes sense from, like, I don't mean the way that you were raised, in the way that, like, so you were raised with / on social media to a degree. So it's like, you know, I feel like in a way you guys have probably developed a little bit more boundaries and privacy with it, whereas like millennials, we were like, we're gonna just vomit our lives all over this app and be like, because we're already grown, so we can put whatever we want on here. So I guess, you know, there's probably some healthy boundaries there that are in place. What's one thing millennials actually get right on social media?
I feel like that's a hard one. Not that you guys don't get anything right. I just
I know. Like, well, and I think it's like hard when you like we keep throwing millennials into their own little bucket.
Yeah, I feel like I actually don't know. I can't think.
Well, we show up. We do show up. We are creating the content.
Like you make the content, and like I think the humor is good most of the time. Like.
It's all parenting humor, that's really, because all of us millennials, we're parents, you know, or like 99% of us, right, are parents, so that's just where, you know, where our lives are.
Yeah. But like you've made your own circle, like, you know, people always hate on millennials, but like you guys have each other kind of thing. Like the content that you're making, like obviously people are finding it, you know, a helpful, funny, good content. Like I think that's a good thing.
To be funny. Allegedly, I guess, you know. That's hearsay, but yeah. So, well, those questions weren't too terrible.
No,
right? Yeah,
no, not too bad. I just like some of them I just could not think on top of my head.
No, I wouldn't either. Like being able to know specific trends, like off the top of my head.
Yeah,
like no. Okay, well, final question then. Like, this is not really that. What made you want to work for me or work for an influencer? I don't know if you had in your mind that like, oh, I want to work for an influencer, or like I just want a job in marketing, blah blah blah. But like I was kind of curious about that.
Well, like at first I didn't really know like who you were and like your brand, and like the more that I would like look at your website, look at your Instagram page, and I was kind of like, this seems like really cool. Like this is like helpful. Like people are coming here for like tips and tricks, like mom hacks, like stuff like that. And I was like, I did want a job in like, kind of marketing, and I was like, and then when I had a phone call with you, we met. I was like, Claire seems so nice. Like this place seems perfect, and like
absolutely not.
I've just learned like so much here, and like that's what I wanted. Like I didn't want to be like in a bubble, like doing like one thing. Like I wanted to be able to learn everything. And like when I was talking to you about that, like you were very like, yes, like let's do that. Like and you taught me like so many things, like that if I want to work for like a big agency kind of thing, like, I'll be able to like know so many things and not just one thing. Right. And that's kind of what like drew me to your company, I guess.
Well, and that's, again, it's like, kind of like the blessing and curse is being a business owner with multiple different platforms is because we are on different platforms with different types of content that require different type of work, skill sets essentially, you know what I mean? So like blog writing is very different than caption writing versus, creating podcast material and filming and editing and our email newsletters. Like there's so many different things. But I remember like when I brought you on, I was like, okay, like, because I still didn't know like what area I wanted you to fully support us in. And since you were so new, I was like, okay, well, I think it'd be best to just train you in all the areas, because that way we can find out where your skill set actually kind of lies, what areas you're still more interested in. And ironically, and I remember specifically, and I asked you if you could tell me what areas that you like weren't interested in, and you said, I was like, I don't know if I want to do blog writing. Yeah. Ironically, that's like one of your strongest skills right now. Isn't that funny? And I remember just telling her, I was like, here's the thing, and I was like, I'm gonna have you blog write. I'm gonna train you on this, because it was like the reality is whether you stay with us down the road or not, wherever life takes you. It's like I feel like a lot of those starting out jobs, you end up being a generalist, and you kind of need to know sort of all the areas, and sometimes the generalist could be you're handling one client and you're doing, like I said, all the pieces that you're kind of doing right now, or you're handling multiple clients, but those multiple clients you're just doing blog writing or you're just doing Instagram. So from that mindset, it is kind of good to kind of learn all those different things, blah, 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 blah. I mean, now you're kind of doing it obviously in-house for us, which is super helpful, but, well, on that note, thank you so much for being brave and tackling your first podcast with us and putting us in the Gen Z hot seat, if you may. But we're so excited to have you, Emma. We can't wait to keep getting your Gen Z thoughts on how we can keep creating better content here. So.
Thank you for having me. This was like so fun. Like I was so nervous, but like it was easy.
I told you. See, it's like people. It's funny. Ever since we launched last week, I've got a lot of like awesome warm welcomes from friends and other people. They're like, gotta have you on there. Like, oh no, I'm so nervous. I was like, guys, like podcasting is actually so easy. Like you literally just sit here and talk.
It's easier than you think. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
That's right. It's like literally so easy. I mean, there's some not all of I had a few questions prepared, but most of the time I don't have much prepared. We just kind of just roll with it. I have a general topic. Yeah. Well, okay, maybe we'll preface this first. Obviously for other topics in the future, I'll probably have more things a little bit structured, but whatever. Well, anyways, cheers to that, and more to come. Yeah. Yay. Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of MomTalk Maryland. If you loved it, leave a review, share it with a friend, or tag me at the.columbiamom on Instagram. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep showing up, keep supporting local, and keep being the incredible mom, woman, human that you are.